Hi, I'm sorry if this channel is dying, but I don't know how to get people to watch my videos because I'm too ugly to show my face to you. I hope that someone will still uh, like me and the way I tell people my subjects and my way of approaching life. I'm sorry if I don't know how to live and if I am forced to stay in this room till the end of my life. Let's keep telling you the story of my life. I lived on a poisoned ground, um, ethically intended. I sat on the floor in a corner, waiting to recognize a real parent who loved me for who I really was, as a child, as a human, rather than as an object of exchange, a contagion of visceral hatred. I hardly ever laughed when I was a child for this reason. A few times it happened, I twisted my mouth in an unnatural crease, as if I wasn't fully used to it. Once my grandmother yelled at me laughing, "How ugly you are when you laugh. Don't you see yourself?" Since then I have not smiled in public anymore. It seems that I have begun to hate my face, my mouth, and the dull, weeping cut of my eyes. I cried and hated myself because slowly my facial features adapted to the nameless pain, to the sense of abandonment that grew inside of me. About 20 years later, I will try to build it. I will try to build my smile with an expensive orthodontic appliance and the extraction of full teeth that hindred the correct alignment of the others. I prayed and almost imposed on my people, on my parents, with 1,000 stories that I pay for the treatment for my teeth. I wore the braces for 2 years, but the results were not what I hoped for. My mouth continued to be too small, and with the fold downwards, the cheek too plump and important for the new teeth to be noticed. In short, that was the definitive defeat by a destiny that did not want me happy. This destiny didn't want me to be happy. And here I am, a child, ev- even if an adult now, without a smile. Let's talk about loneliness and my first experience with death now. Trapped on the top floor of one of the many public buildings in my home country, I never came into contact with children of my age, at least before kindergarten. There was only one old man with whom I gladly stammered at a window opposite the balcony of my grandparents' kitchen. He asked me how I was, what I was doing. He smiled at me, and I felt I loved him. One day his sister, an old lady without a husband, appeared at that window. The old man was celibate and he lived with her, being already seriously ill with some mysterious syndrome. Um, and his sister told me that my first friend had died. I didn't know what to answer. What did that mean? The concepts of departure, of long journey, wrung down to a little friend who would have waited in vain for his return for a long time, were immediately instilled in me. I had a more direct and traumatic encounter with death a few years later. I was already lived. I was already a child in the first years of elementary school and in the same popular buildings where I lived with my family. A lonely old lady from an apartment a block from ours had died out of the blue one morning after asking her neighbor for a glass of milk. She complained of slight illness, then went to bed and passed away in the grace of God. Immediately when the news spread, the pilgrimage of neighbors, relatives, onlookers, passers-by to the deceased's apartment deceased apartment began. Stay here at the entrance, it's not for you, my mother admonished me, leaving me alone and going to offer her condolences to the weeping relatives. Prey to an arcane curiosity, driven almost by the invisible luminous trail that fate was preparing in front of me, I went instead, unseen, to the bedroom where the old woman was lying, with an handkerchief knotted under her chin, white and quiet in her eternal sleep. Here is a dead woman, I told myself, in an attempt to make who knows what great impression on me. The impact must have been there, a bit unspecified, given that 30 years later I have not yet forgotten that anomalous vision, almost out of place in a world that for a child was still bursting with life, with unexplored sounds and colors, with words and meanings that the more I escaped, the more anxious I was to understand. In the following decades, I prayed a lot for that old woman who died in her bed, begging my God to grant her eternal rest, as I had been taught that was done for all the dead people. After all, I said to myself, if that was my first death experience, there must have been a reason. I have to pray for air. Well, in the next video, I talk about this obsession with death that is widespread through the south of Italy, where I'm living right now and where I've always lived. So I hope that some one of you will still listen to me and won't make me feel so lonely as I have been in all the rest of my life. Thank you for watching and see you in the next video.